Jonas Eidevall, resigned on Tuesday.
But I just don't think he played the Arsenal way.
Jonas and Vivianne Miedema, I think that was a turning point.
Like, what was that about?
To strengthen a rival?
To strengthen our rival.
I'm not in the frame for the job, am I?
I'd be very surprised if we had a replacement by the end of this week. A lot of names have been thrown about at the moment. Casey Stoney seems the most logical from the outside. Renee Slags is just worth considering and worth dwelling on for a moment.
Shall we stick a little cheeky £1 bet on who's going to get the job then? Hello, welcome back to The Kickback. My name's Shebhan Aherne and I'm joined by my twin sister and professional football player, Ruesha Littlejohn. Coming up for you on the show today, we're going to be joined by the Times' women's football reporter, Kit Shepard. That's to bring you our take on the biggest story of the week, the departure of Arsenal's head coach, Jonas Eidevall. Stay tuned for all of that. It has been an interesting old week. It's also been an interesting old week for your face, sister.
Well, what do you think? Stunning? What? Say what now?
Well, Ruesha's on our glow up, right? We've been talking about our glow up for how long now? Well, we've been talking about it for ages.
Since birth.
Since birth.
Yeah.
Because you are the ugly looking twin.
Butters, they say.
I mean, you're bringing our crowd down. But she got the old lippies done.
Yep.
Can camera 5 get a close up of this? Is this zoom right up into those lips if it's possible? Troutpout.com. Here it comes. Here it comes. It's coming.
Look, once swelling, the bruising goes down, I think they're going to be absolutely stuns. Had my Botox topped up, getting my hair cut at the weekend.
It's the hair for me.
Well, it's not that. It's normally the rails, you see, my teeth, my gnashers.
Well.
And they're getting sorted too now, so...
So teeth, I think you've got an appointment for your teeth next week. You've got your barnet this weekend.
Yep.
Lips are done. Botox is in place. Let's just hope you now maybe find yourself settling down at some point before everyone around you dies.
Right. Well, at least I look well. At least I look good.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? So that's the main thing. That's the main thing.
It's interesting because we were talking about this last night, weren't we? And some people were like, oh, you shouldn't want to put stuff in your face. And I'm like, that's so true. But the pressures today of trying to look a certain way, don't you think now, like, when you look at women's footballers, I'm like, they're thinking about the glam.
Yeah, but it's, at the same time, it's like, I get some people maybe get carried away. I don't think that's going to be me. I won't be getting carried away. I won't be going and getting duck lips. That won't be
Big
happening.
Dolly Parton.
No, big might do that actually. Might do that actually next month, I'll see.
Katie Price.
That would be bants. I would think of the ratings though, think of the ratings. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, do wonders.
TalkSPORT men's football fans would be like that.
Woof.
Love the kickback. What
Like
a show.
and subscribe. But look, I think people want to feel good, look good, feel good. That's what they say. But yeah, I think some people do get carried away. I am naturally pretty stunning, I would say.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I do think I'm quite a natural beauty.
Right.
But just getting wee bits of wee top-ups here and there, especially when you're on the camera these days. You know, you've got to look the part. Because these cameras hide nothing. You get away with nothing.
Like they say, the camera doesn't lie. And like, even some days I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit self-conscious about my acne scars today. You lot are like,
zoom in.
She's got bad skin.
It's weird because I remember like just looking at you and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, I went to the moon. I'd be like, it's like talking to a crater face across from me. So, but like, you need to get laser for that. Anyway, moving back to the football, you took me off track.
No, football. Let's keep bringing ourselves down. Yeah. What about a BBL? Would you ever get one of those?
No, I'm not into that. I'm not into that at all. In fairness, I've got a shocking backside. My bum's not the one, but I just need to do a few more squats and that'll be that. Sometimes I get a bit bored in the gym when there's too many exercises. I don't lift heavy enough. But look, leave it with me. Maybe when I retire, that's when the bum will look the part.
Yeah.
Have you actually ever considered getting your into the gym?
I know.
You should start off there. That would do
what was that
wonders for
like? I got on it recently. I was back in the gym.
Aye,
10
one day?
days. No. That's a lie. I did 5 days in 10.
Wow.
Not been back since.
Smashed it.
Honestly, I got a parking ticket and I was like, do you know what?
It's not worth
I'm not doing this anymore. Like, there's just no point.
Yeah.
No, I will next week. It's just been so busy. No one cares. But it's the first thing you can sacrifice when you're busy is the gym and eating properly. And I'm like that. Bye. Get me another McDonald's. I have a problem now with McDonald's. I'm eating too many McDonald's. And then, you know, I'm one of those mums now who's starting to give the kids McDonald's more than I should.
Well, anyway, but you done? Is the therapy session over? You've realised you're absolutely butters, you're a terrible mother, and you're also terrible at your job. So, are we done?
Yeah, I think we can talk about the football now.
Good.
Interesting all week. What you missed? Well, Jonas Eidevall, the head coach for Arsenal women, resigned on Tuesday, and it's been taking over the world of women's football. It comes off the back of a 5-2 defeat in the UEFA Women's Champions League against Bayern Munich, and then a league defeat against Chelsea at the Emirates at the weekend. Rue, I said it to you. I said it a number of times on air. He was under pressure, and even though that second half performance against Chelsea was good, I don't think it was enough to save the job. However, this was Jonas' decision to walk away.
I'm more concerned about, did he get his payout? I would just love to know that. Did he walk away from that, or has he been given that? Because then I'm like, why would he have walked away? Anyway, that's none of my business really, is it? But I think it was coming. I think you could see that the girls looked a bit, at the end, especially that Chelsea game, the huddle at the end of the game, it just looked very deflated. And I think it was time for change. But I still agree with what Farah had said a couple of episodes ago about players taking responsibility. And I think they do have to take a bit of responsibility, because when they're on the pitch, it's up to them. And it's not as though they weren't creating stuff. They were creating chances, they just weren't scoring. And now they're licking goals for fun. So maybe they want to work on their defensive structure, get their fingers at their backsides and start working a bit harder.
See, Rush, I think this is part of the issue for Jonas. Like, when you focus on Manchester United and Erik ten Hag, due to injury, there's problems, but he changes up that back line. Good teams who win rarely change up the back four. Not only that, Jonas Eidevall is changing the goalkeeper. And that is something that he'd said when he brought Daphne van Domslaar to the club. You know, it might be the opportunity to see goalkeeper rotated more. You know, he would be okay with that as if it was a strategy, but I just don't think it means that they're going to defend well, because there's a lack of communication and continuity.
There's experienced players in that back line. Okay, yes, I get why you're changing the back line during games, unless people have got niggles, unless people are on yellow cards and they're walking a tightrope. That's the only reason you should probably be changing your back line. So I'm not sure what his reasons were for that. However, I think Daphne van Domslaar came in and she's looking very comfortable. She made a few good saves last night. I think she'll have a big future at Arsenal. I'm not sure what the story is with Manuel Zinsberger. I'm not sure why she's been dropped. Is it her time coming to an end at Arsenal? She's been a great servant for them for the last, how many years is that? 4 or 5 years she's been there, longer. She's been a great servant to Arsenal, so they're looking maybe to change it up, get a younger goalkeeper in, and they're going to build her now. She's going to be the number one going forward. But I think now the Arsenal team, watching the game last night, they were almost going to win the game, but there was spells that they were poor. But then there was also spells where you could see Arsenal and how they like to play. They were moving the ball, they were getting in the pockets, they were getting turned, they were driving at players, they were linking up. The goal from Caldente, that was a great team goal, and it was so simple for them. It was literally 4 passes and the ball was in the back of the net. When they play like that, they are firing, and that's what the fans want to see. They want to see Arsenal playing like that. That's the Arsenal way, and that's what they want to get back to.
Yeah, Rennie Sledger's in interim charge for now. I reckon we'll hear about an appointment in a week or so. We're going to speak to
a week. Is that not too long? When surely it's got to be sooner or later. I'm thinking if Jonas has left, Arsenal have had something lined up. They've got to, so surely why would they wait a week?
Contract situations, get plans in place, make sure the right deal is done for the new manager. That's the thing now, Rush, like, it's a sexy job in football. You cannot deny that the Arsenal women's job is a stunner, not only because you're going to get a good wage, you're going to get all eyes on the game, you're trying to play all of the games at the Emirates. The fan base is absolutely huge, but with that comes more pressure because you're expected to perform all of the time. And I think back to Jonas and Vivianne Miedema. I think that was a turning point for a lot of Arsenal fans, you know, to say, actually, we don't like how Viv was treated, even though Viv never ever come out and said she was ill-treated by Arsenal. I don't know if you saw this is going back a bit, but Viv's second last game, it looked like Jonas almost kind of gave her like that nudge in the back. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Fans hated that. Yeah. Now, I didn't like what I saw that game, but he certainly didn't. He didn't push her, but you could tell Viv reacted. She didn't like it. You know, it felt like he was trying to put himself right with the fans, and the results weren't helping.
It was frosty in the end, maybe between them. But I look at Arsenal, it was absolutely shocking business from them anyway. For a player like Viv Miedema to run down a contract and then she goes on the free. Like, what was that about?
To strengthen a rival?
To strengthen a rival.
Worst business in football ever.
That's where you've got to look at Arsenal sometimes and go, what is going on behind the scenes there? And you're going, is that something that's been going on a while? Does there need to be a change within the squad behind the scenes at Arsenal? Because, like, what is it? Why is a team of that strength only won 2 Conti Cups in the last... Do you know what I mean? Are they celebrating that? Is that good? I don't think it is.
No.
So,
I mean, it's an excuse to take a little bit of pressure off, but it's not good enough from Arsenal's standards. You can't look at me and tell me that team went on holiday in the summer and went, what a great season we've had. They went away with more problems in the summer than they did success. You can't look at a Conti Cup and say, we had a good season, especially with the investment they had. Was it inevitable that Jonas Eidevall would be leaving the club this week?
I actually thought, he's survived this. He's going to be here, get through this Champions League games. Because let's be honest, I do think if Jonas was in charge against Vålerenga, he would still win the game.
You would think.
So I actually thought he was going to be in there, they would win and they would just move forwards. I do think they'll beat West Ham at the weekend too. So I thought he's going to be safe till around about Christmas unless anything else happens. However, I think it's the right decision. Credit to Jonas for being there. He's won 2 cups. But before, I'm going to say something controversial, before his contract was renewed, I kind of thought, why is his contract being renewed? Because they've only won a Conti Cup.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? So that wasn't successful unless Arsenal were going, oh no, we're making progress. We're building here. Like, we believe in Jonas right now. I just don't know if Jonas' style is the typical Arsenal style. But when he first came in, people were raving about him. People were happy. You know, it's change. Everyone's happy. Oh, let's get on board. But I just don't think he played the Arsenal way. So I think the next manager that comes in has got to just be a football purist. And that, will that happen? I don't know. I'm not saying there's only one way of winning games, but I think with that Arsenal team, the quality of players, you've just got to let them be on the ball, express themselves, pass, move, 1-2s, dribbling like players. That's how they play. That is that team. But on that, they still have to get a bit better defensively, get more compact, stop leaking goals. Unfortunate goal last night. Kadina's overdone it on the ball. She'll know that herself. She's totally took her time and got robbed. So totally avoidable goal. But look, they win 4-1, comfortable win in the end.
Okay, coming up for you on the Kit Back, we're going to hear from Kit Shepard. He's going to join us live in the studio to dive into the headlines grabbing our attention this week. That is the news that Jonas Eidevall has departed from Arsenal Women. Kit, how are you? Thank you so much for coming along to speak to us today. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Busy week, but we always enjoy it, so all good.
It's quite interesting because this week was set up to be about the Lionesses squad announcement. You were there at St George's Park when everything hit the fan about Jonas.
Yeah, so there was probably like 6 or 7 of us journalists up at St George's Park, just having a nice little chat, thinking about who's going to be in the England squad. Then we see the Arsenal statement that Jonas had resigned all on our phones, and then there wasn't much chatter going on after that. It was very much on the phone, barreling into the laptop, and just trying to get the news out there and kind of see where we go from there.
It's been big news as well. Like, I think it's a huge story, and not only because it's Arsenal and they're a huge club and a huge brand, but I actually think it's becoming a really sought after role. You know, when you get to manage a team or playing at the Emirates almost every week now.
Yeah, it's definitely a sought after role. So I think it's a role that will come with a lot of pressure as well. So it's kind of that double-edged sword. It will need kind of the right character for it. Because I think pressure's kind of a big reason why Jonas ended up kind of calling it a day and resigning. I think the pressure from the fans in particular was just so strong and intense that he kind of felt it was time to step aside. I don't think maybe the club would have made a decision with him eventually, but I think at that point after the game against Chelsea last weekend, they were quite happy to give him a little bit more time. But he, from what I've kind of understood, is kind of took the decision that with all the outside noise and maybe a little bit within the club, but especially the outside noise, that it was time for him to go.
I think he's done the right thing. I think with the pressure and the noise around it, why would you stay? Why would you stay? And I think if you've seen the clip against Chelsea in the huddle, you could see how deflated these players were, and you're probably going, right, I'm not the guy to take this team forward any further. So I think he's made the right decision. Not saying that would have been easy for him, because he's probably a very proud man, and he's going, no, I can turn this around. But I think he's made the correct choice. But it's interesting because Nikita Paris, I'd seen an interview with her recently. I think it was on a podcast that she does, and she kind of said, look, there's a lot of pressure now on players and managers, but with the games going, that's the way the industry is going to be. So we have to accept it. That's the way it's going. Managers, players, if things aren't going right, you're going to know about it. And that's not saying that's great, but that is the way the game's going. It's the growth of the game.
So on that note, I think it has been coming for quite some time. You know, I just had a feeling. Now, as a journalist, you would normally hear these rumours as well. Casey Stoney was at Boreham Wood fairly recently. She was at the Emirates at the weekend. So is she looking like the likely replacement?
Likely, maybe. I would say logical, definitely. She seems to make sense from what we know. We know she's available, obviously, because she was sat by San Diego Wave in June. She's got WSL management experience from her time of Man United, and there's a sense that she would want a job as well. I mean, we saw her, as you say, at Arsenal games recently, and that she'd be interested. Whether she's Arsenal's first choice is kind of less clear, I'd say, at the moment, and we'll kind of see how the process develops.
Why is that? Is that a clash with board? Because if I'm Arsenal, I'm looking and going, she understands this dressing room, she knows the demands that's expected of her, and she has managed in the WSL and done well with that Manchester United side and at San Diego Way before she was let go. Why would you not go for her?
Well, one of the things we have heard from Arsenal is that they're going to take quite a data-driven approach to this managerial replacement search, and they're going to take their time as well. So one, that means I still think we're quite in quite early days with who the replacement is, in the sense that I'd be very surprised if we had a replacement by the end of this week, for example. I think they'll take it into the international break a little bit. And two, with that kind of data-driven approach, I'm sure their analytics are much more advanced than this, but what was the main problem for Arsenal under Eidevall? Not scoring enough goals. Mm-hmm. Casey Stoney became unpopular in San Diego because they weren't scoring enough goals. So, as I say, it feels like the logical decision from the outside, but maybe when the very intelligent people with their computers actually look at it, they might see something differently.
I would agree with that. I would also say Arsenal, I think there was one game there where their XG was very low. Apart from that, I think they've been creating chances, they're just not scoring, but it goes back to they're crying out for a natural finisher. So why not put Beth Mead in the 9? Because she is a composed finisher. She's a great goal scorer. She's done it for Sunderland. She's done it for Arsenal, and then she ends up on the wing, and she can do that wrong. And I know she can do it for England. She's a comfortable player, but she's lacking a bit of form right now. But I'm like, let her play in the middle. She's a good finisher. Viv Mead was left. They let her go. So what are they waiting on? And why is Casey Stoney going to the Emirates and Boreham Woods if she's not in contention for this job?
I heard she was there with her family as well. I'm like, family day out the Emirates against Chelsea, everyone, when Jonas is under pressure.
But
we're doing that for the good of our health.
You do that.
I'm not in the frame for the job, am I? I mean, for me, that's a statement. I want the job.
I would agree with that, yeah. And I think on your point about Beth, yeah, she is an excellent finisher. I think she probably, for me, is better in that wide position, even if that's just because that's where she's played mainly recently for Arsenal and England. And Alessia Russo, I think she does need to improve her finishing, but I think, I say this all the time, I think Alessia Russo is world-class in everything except finishing as a number 9.
I would agree. Alessia's hold-up play, bringing people into play, she's actually really, really good at. It's just, but then she's not a goal-scoring 9. That's my point.
Fair enough, and we're talking about a number 9, so scoring goals is the most important thing, but I wouldn't discount that kind of back-to-goal play she does, the link-up play, I think is really important as well. It's not the main thing, I'd agree with that. But with Arsenal's options as well, I would probably persist with her up front for now.
Do you think that a new manager would look to reduce some of the work that Alessia Russo is doing? Because she gets herself into positions that maybe she doesn't have to get into. Got to give her due last night against Vålerenga. She did find the back of the net. But we watched that game together. The girl didn't stop. She's always trying. You can't knock her for not putting on her big girl pants every game and trying, and I love that attitude.
I love a player in the women's game, players that have got their back to goal and that can hold the ball up and look after it well and bring other people in around them. That is such a strength, and it probably goes unnoticed in women's football In the men's game, it's huge. It's because it's just natural. It's a given. Most of them know how to do it. In the women's game, there's a lot of people that aren't taught that, to be honest with you. She knows how to use her body. She knows how to link up, hold the ball up, bring people into play. She's an intelligent player. And I think we seen her yesterday. She's actually good. She got on the turn a good bit too in the half spaces. So for me, she is dropping deeper. She's not showing characteristics like she's a goal scorer. So why are we looking at her as a 9 right now is what I would say.
Kit, who else is in the frame then for this job?
A lot of names have been thrown about at the moment. Obviously, as I say, Casey Stoney seems the most logical from the outside. I think Renee Slags is just worth considering and worth dwelling on for a moment, as she's in interim charge at the moment, former Netherlands midfielder. On the one hand, knows the club. She was there as Eidevall's assistant.
Did she come with Jonas?
No, so she stayed in Sweden until 2023, I believe,
She's
and then came recently.
fairly new.
But yeah, I mean, she was still Eidevall's assistant, so if you want kind of a real fresh break, maybe she's not the correct choice. I mean, other names being thrown out there, we've had Mark Parsons, who's used to be in charge of the Netherlands, and then you do have some quite wacky ones from some places. We've seen Gareth Southgate was I've seen on one graphic, which I definitely don't think will happen. And just some few other really.
What about Nick
wild
Cushion? I'd
names
seen
like
a few
that.
of those rumours, but I was going, well,
Yeah,
why
I
would
would
he
say-
leave America to come back to Arsenal?
I would say he's in contention. I would say he'd be keen to, or maybe keen is too strong, maybe open to return to England would be fair to say. So I definitely would put him in contention. But yeah, I think it's gonna sound like I'm sitting on the fence, which I hate doing, but I do think we are in relative early days in this search.
I'm impatient. I want to be like, right, come on, who is it? Who is it? But I understand, we've got West Ham and then it's international break, so maybe they will know we do have time.
And the one thing I would say is when they appointed Eidevall in 2021, he was a relative unknown, at least in this country, so kind of I would keep like an open mind at this stage.
And I think Jonas is more of typical Scandinavian style, and at the time I was like, interesting. You can see he brought in a few like Scandinavian players, and I'm like, is that the Arsenal way? I don't think it is. Anyway, talking about Arsenal goal scorer, who they could go and buy, dip into their pockets. Maybe it would be a short-term plan right now, but if they want to start buying in the goals, Rachel Daly, get her up front. Absolute goal. Rach Daly's up there with one of the best finishers I've seen at training. She can smash a ball, drill a ball, she can place a ball. And 9 times out of 10, she will find side netting. She's a quality finisher too. I'm like, why not? Don't know if Rach would be up for it, mind you. She might be quite happy where she is, but I think that she would be, honestly, the amount of chances they create, she'd score goals for fun.
Drop her a text.
I would say to her,
hit her up.
Get her agent onto me now.
It'd be a good move for her, don't get me wrong. I think it'd be a great move. And I actually thought when they did get Stina, and actually when they got Alessia Russo, I mean, it was a great move for Russo. It did make sense at the time, but in terms of a natural finisher, I mean, Daly was ripping up trees for fella that season.
Let's be honest, Stina Blackstone is a different threat for Arsenal. She brings a different dimension to their game. So I'm not saying it's great to have all that kind of weaponry. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have that all. She's great at stretching the line. She causes havoc with that. Her movement's fantastic. It's just the finishing. Okay. It's just the finishing side, not a natural finisher. Okay. But imagine you had another goal scorer in there. Wow.
Should we stick a little cheeky £1 bet on who's going to get the job then? Ruesha, it is time now. Your time of the week. I was going to say it's your time of the month, but I don't know. Is it too much? Sorry, Kit. Earmuffs. Is your time of the week to hit us with the truth juice?
Okay, since we're on Arsenal, we'll keep it on that topic. I think it's now, the truth is, I think the Arsenal players were, I seen Kim Little's interview and she said it was sad. And let's be honest, it was sad. He has lost his job and he's been there for so long. He's worked with the girls and worked with them nearly every other day. So it's probably sad to see someone like that go. But I think now the girls were ready for that. So it's time for them to get themselves together, start playing as a team, working hard. The body language is one thing with some of the players. I'm looking at the body language and I'm thinking, Jesus, if you watch that back, you'd see that you look like a bit of a idiot. Not going to say it, but it just doesn't look great. So I think they need to sort of change their attitudes. They've probably got what they wanted. They're moving forward, so start putting on a show, start performing. Talented squads, start picking up points. And as a team, I'm not saying this is a back line, stop leaking goals right now. Come on. That's it.
Yeah.
You feel? Joe feel?
I think it's important what you said first of all about the back line, because we've talked loads about Arsenal don't score enough goals under Eidevall in the last couple of weeks. We saw it in Bayern Munich, first 50 minutes against Chelsea, that started to happen as well. So that's important to figure out. And yeah, the managers is always the most convenient, simple excuse when things are going wrong, because it's the easiest thing to change. So now the pressure is on the players that if they were using it as an excuse, that excuse is gone, and they kind of need to pick it up quickly. Signs were decent last night. 4-1 was probably fair. At the same time, if things hadn't gone their way, it could have been 2-2. So I don't think there wasn't an instant fix, at least on the evidence of last night.
Okay, interesting all week. Just to quickly recap the Champions League as well. Barcelona beating Hammarby 9-0. Man City, Mary Fowler leaving it to the 80th minute to make it 3-2.
Alana Kennedy was that?
Alana Kennedy with the rocket. 6 minutes into play or something like that. So, I mean, I want to give credit to Man City and their 100% start. I think they do deserve that. And Chelsea might be looking to do that as well this week too.
Man City stepping up with a few late goals in the last 10 minutes end of the game. So that's a good sign that they can keep going and get the points on the table. Obviously, this is Champions League. But yeah, it's a sign of a squad that's a kind of never say die attitude. And no matter how the game's going, they're going to go to the 90th minute, or 90 plus minutes, shall we say.
And their problem last year was conceding late goals. Obviously, most famously in the Arsenal game at the end of the season, which lost them the league. They did it against Brighton, against Tottenham in the FA Cup. It was a real problem. So I think just from a kind of team morale thing, as much as anything, getting a late one in your favour is really important. But they've obviously been really impressive this season.
They have been, and credit to Arsenal at times last night. They were impressive, and perhaps this has been the right decision from what we have seen with Jonas Eidevall leaving the club. We would like to wish him luck as well. Rush, we had the crack last week with the accent. There was no malice in it. We respect Jonas Eidevall. He was a good man, you know, not to be at the club. So we wish him luck for the future moving forward.
And I'm sure Jonas will have a positive future going forward, whatever his role is next. It didn't work out at Arsenal, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work out anywhere else. I think his style might be more beneficial at another club, so good luck to him.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us on the Kickback. Kit, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming in. Ruesha, as always, we'll see what new fillers you have in your face next week. Please like, please subscribe, leave us a comment. As always, it's good to have you on board, and we'll see you on the Kickback again next week. Bye-bye.